This is Off Track. Hello and welcome to another episode of Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. Hi, guys. It's like, it's over.
Thank God.
It's finally over. No way, but yes, Detroit, always. But I was just referring to
May.
May. I know it's officially June, but like because we just have races. Do you remember when we used to like go to Road America next week? Or Texas or something, and like there wasn't even a break one year after Detroit?
Wasn't it Indy? No, it was because Texas they always wanted an oval before Indy in the good old days.
But yeah, old days, yes. But then I want to say we used, because it used to be in June. I feel like we used to go Detroit to Texas.
No, too hot. Maybe COVID days.
Dude, do you remember 21 when we got the week off after Indy and it was the greatest thing ever? I think it was 21.
It was 20 because we did it in August.
No, because it wasn't the same. I feel like it was 21. Whatever. We did it once and it was glorious. Everyone's like, oh, this is clearly going to be the new norm.
It's all stupid.
It's ridiculous.
Still feeling sick, Alex?
Yeah, I'm not great.
Did you fly your airplane to Detroit?
I did. It's weird. You don't recover from sickness when you don't really sleep or have any time.
Why aren't you sleeping, pal?
Recover. Oh, just partying a lot of time at Envy.
Yeah. So the whole phase of just constantly having somebody in the house being sick, it does go away eventually in parenting. I've been told. It has not yet for me. There's just like it's a rolling basis of I'm sick or Hazel's sick or her mom is sick. And it just feels like it's continually passed amongst our two places.
Yeah. No, it's fun.
And yeah, you're well over a decade into that process. So that's fun for everybody involved. I guess we should talk about Detroit, unless there's anything not Detroit related. Do you want to cover first?
I don't think there was anything of interest going into the weekend, right?
Not that we didn't cover. I don't know. Did we cover?
We did
that stuff. Yeah, I thought so.
Did. So, I mean, I guess the one announcement going into the weekend was Dale Coyne Racing hired a bunch of people. Michael Cannon returns, and someone else,
Mike Culliver, who's another experienced guy. I've worked with Mike before. He's done. I mean, he's worked a bunch of IndyCar teams. I worked with him on month of May programs when he would come run like the third car at Schmidt back in the day or whatever. But no, he's great, man. Super nice guy and a very experienced engineer. So yeah, the question that we were kind of talking about over the weekend on it. On the broadcast at least, because I never got the chance to get down to Dale's place to ask, was like, was this kind of always the plan? Because obviously we know that Mike Cannon had signed for Prema, and then if it was December, January or something, it was announced that he was leaving for what I like to say artistic differences.
It's a good way of putting it.
So like let's say if it was December, like 6-month gardening leave kind of puts you to the end of May. So maybe that was always sort of on the cards. And then Culliver had a month of May program. He was running, I think he ran Jack in Indy at Dreyer. So he would have been committed through May. So maybe the plan with the two guys they had was always going to be swap it out. Because it'd be hard to argue it based on performance when like Renus had 2 top 10s coming into the 500 and he was like 10th in points. So I don't think it was performance related necessarily. So I'm gonna just assume that's why. I have no official reasoning to say that. So please don't take that as gospel. Anybody in the paddock that would know different, please don't yell at me.
That's good assumptions. We do a lot of that on this podcast. We try and make our best educated guess.
Yeah, but I'm occasionally reminded how many people in the paddock listen to the podcast and must just be shaking their head like, these guys are morons. Like, how do they not know what's happening? And they're like, it's one thing, like we can sound smart enough to people that aren't in IndyCar, but a lot of people in IndyCar listen to this and it's like, oh, these guys.
I think everyone knows almost 8 years on that we are morons.
True.
Yeah.
True.
We have not done anything to hide that.
Right.
No, I think more than anything, they just accept that it's like a gross lack of effort or preparation going into these shows. Like we could easily figure some of these things out, but we make most of this stuff up on the fly.
And have no interest in really getting the real information either.
No,
I don't want to field work.
Absolutely not.
Could you imagine actually being like a journalist and like having to actually
sounds exhausting.
Corroborate stories and such? No, thank you.
Need at least 3 sources. No.
No.
Or like having
Cite
a plan,
your work,
like a run of
my
show.
head.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's better than Wikipedia.
Cite your work. The opposite of what James is thinking.
I didn't know that I had this opinion until James had a different opinion, and now
Correct. Until we established what James's opinion was. Now I know exactly what I think.
I'm not Townsend. Relax.
So that was, kind of the de facto news, I think, going into the weekend. I heard this rumor that we might be going back to Belle Isle.
No, it's no. So
okay,
there is.
So is it yes?
No,
I'm going to take the opposite stance here. I think we're going back to Belle Isle.
We are not. So last year, so the Ren Center, the GM building,
the Renaissance Centre.
The race goes around as kind of a flagship skyline affecting building of Detroit. Was built back in the 70s. And Ford actually built it. I found this out this weekend, which I thought was very interesting. And GM actually bought it during the recession from Ford as like a kind of a, we have more money so we can buy your building. Anyways, which is what a power move. But it was built in the 70s, obviously not LEED certified, incredibly inefficient building
whoever designed it was clearly on drugs. It is so difficult to navigate that thing. It looks like it was made from Dr. Seuss's brain. Like none of the floors go to it. It makes no sense. It's the dumbest building I've ever been in.
That's not what I wasn't talking about efficiency in terms of getting somewhere. I was talking about efficiency.
No, yes, I'm saying as
cost to operate it.
Right. Yeah.
It's falling apart. I got the whole inside scoop. Falling apart. No one really wants to work on it. The cost. The amount it would cost to bring it like up to today's standards is like triple what it would cost to just tear it down and start over.
Now who's laughing? Ford versus GM?
Right. So there was a lot of rumors in last year in 24 that the Ren-Sen was going to close and that demolition was essentially going to start. And thus, you couldn't have a racetrack around a demolition site for obvious reasons. Right. And all of that was kind of on a trajectory. But like a lot of these things, it's not just one person that is making these decisions, and it's a vote, and the city's involved, and council's involved, and it's not just there's a lot of different things going on. So it seems that the conclusion that has been we have gotten to between GM and the city and all involved is waiting until the end of 2027 to tear it down, because there is a college basketball, I believe, tournament coming into town, or football, one of them, a college sports tournament is coming into town, and they don't want to like evaporate the skyline. So after that, it would be torn down, which is why I believe we just signed a 3-year extension to continue going back there.
So we will be going back to Belle Isle, just not next year.
Well, not until 27 at the earliest, potentially 28.
Right. You made it sound like that was a really dumb thing to say, but I feel like
sorry, because
a year ago
because there was a period of time where like this was the end, like this year was the end because it was coming down. So
got it.
We are not going back to Belle Isle next year. Unfortunately,
right, but there might be a chance we're going back at some point.
Knowing how we do things, though, as a series, we just won't race to Detroit.
I mean, what if you had that weekend after the 500
or
off?
We go
Tim, you shut your mouth.
Speedway.
Don't you dare tease me.
Well,
what?
MIS action. Yeah.
Dude, I wonder if we could do it. Like, I know there's all these reasons why we haven't in the past, and I get them all, and I agree with them all, but like, I wonder if like we could figure that out.
Probably not. Anyways,
good chat. So we're back in the streets. We're back on our 9-corner, 1.65 mile street circuit, which on paper looks like the most boring racetrack on earth. But the guys after year one seemed to think that it raced okay and it was mildly entertaining to drive. Is that how you felt going into this weekend?
No, I think the novelty of it has worn off a little bit, and I don't know if, and I don't want to be this podcast or these people that continually bring this up, But like, I don't know if the hybrid just made it just extra. Because I don't mind bumps. It was like the first year was way too bumpy. Like it was just ridiculous. Like it was actually like causing you headaches and like back problems. 2024 was a pretty big step forward, like on the main straight down to turn 3, and it became kind of a passing opportunity, even though there was lots of shunts, and it was like they fixed a lot of the really problematic areas, and then they actually took another step and improved more problematic areas in 2025 with repaving a section and continually to work on with the city and trying to make it smoother to as much as they could. And it just was I didn't talk to one driver bar minus Kyle or Colton who was like enjoying driving laps around there. Like it was just not fun.
Like you could feel a noticeable difference. I mean, again, it's hard for you. Like I'm trying to isolate your situation specifically because you've switched teams and you had not a great weekend. But like,
I'm not really just referencing me. Like everyone I talked to was like, I hate this place.
Right. So
like,
even guys that enjoyed it before, it seems like it's been a noticeable drop in enjoyability, if that's a word.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so. I don't really know that there's a solution to it. Like it's been brought up several times. If there's an option to extend it, there is not. I mean, like look at what goes on in practice 1, right? Like as much as that was great for the internet and that was great comedy for TV.
We're talking about willpower.
We're talking about Will just driving Kyle through a corner and in front of a corner. Like that is a product of this racetrack, and it being so entirely too small that it's just like it's kind of a joke. And I don't know how else to say that, but I think that was highlighted in practice 1 by like what occurred.
Yeah. It's funny that you've got a track that is so 1.65 miles, right? By far the shortest road and street course maybe that's ever been on the IndyCar calendar, right? So like I think for reference
in the world,
maybe. I want to say Toronto's like 1.9, like it's just under 2. So like a pretty sizable chunks like shorter than Toronto. But it's the same lap time basically as Toronto. Because it's actually a little bit slower lap time because the average corner speed is like 54 miles an hour.
I'm surprised it's that high, honestly.
There are 9 corners. One's in the 30s, which is turn 3. One's in the 60s, which is turn 2. Every other corner is in the 51 to 58 mile an hour range, which is like, it's just it's a slow track. It's a slow track.
First gear in every single corner, bar 1.
And it looks like there are so many good like clips of drivers trying to get off corners, just accelerating out of corners. And the cars look like they've got 1,000 horsepower because everyone's just like, for those that can't watch on YouTube.
The thing that's frustrating, and I think why it's maybe not enjoyable, you pretty much summed it up, right? You know, street courses are often about, you know, a level of bravery and commitment,
right,
that exists, and how much track you're willing to use and how close you're willing to get to the walls and all that sort of thing. And while that certainly exists in like turn 6, 7 with the chicane, like how much, like there's a lot of time to be gained by getting very close to the apex walls, which are not symmetrical and all this sort of thing. The rest of the track is kind of just like, it's almost akin to driving in the wet, where you're just like trying to make every straight as long as possible. You know?
Right.
You're just trying to spend as little time in the corner as you can and brake as late as you can and be as straight on the exit as you can, because you're so limited on longitudinal grip.
Right.
And so the cornering phases are not actually enjoyable because you're not challenging the car in a lot of ways. Like all of your challenges come from like just trying to get the power down and then trying to stop. So it's kind of like, it doesn't really reward a lot of commitment. I mean, there's certainly some, especially in qualifying, of course, like to be fast, you've got to be committed, but it's not in the same way that you're committed at a St. Pete or a Long Beach or a Toronto, or certainly at Belle Isle. So I think that's probably why people feel that way.
That's a good point. You're right. Because you at 50 miles an hour, you can kind of just drive out to the exit. Like you're not really it's not about like who's flowing more speed, because it's like you just kind of.
And these aren't like small cars, right? And there's some corners where like the width of the car is about the width of the track. Like turn one is like, there's not really many options to be creative there.
That was one of the things that was worried me going into the race is they switched the restart zone to turn one.
It went surprisingly well, I thought.
It went surprisingly well. We had the one issue with Polo and Malukas.
Yeah, but like that
could have happened anywhere.
That can happen in St. Pete. Like that's
and the thing that made it like really good is he ended up in like, in my opinion, the worst position. Polo did. Caked up against the wall on a restart, and the track, no one drove in the back of him, which is kind of the big concern, and that you'd lead to a track blockage pretty easily.
And I think
we avoided that.
The reason for it, like on paper, when you think about it, right, you're like, oh, why are we moving the restart zone to an area that's even narrower, slower, tighter, and harder to pass? Cold tires, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of the cause and effect is, well, everyone's terrified, so no one's going to make a lunge. Whereas when you have turn three and you've got an entire straight to talk yourself into doing something, and it's wide and it's inviting and it's a big braking zone where you feel like you can get your on the table sort of thing. And that's kind of the carnage that we saw over 2 years. So while it wasn't necessarily something that you would think, oh, that makes perfect sense, I think it ended up working out to be a really good change for the race. Because I feel like the race, like, yeah, there was yellows, yeah, there was a red flag, but not because of like stupid shit, like wall had to be repaired.
Dude, it was
feel like the race was a good race.
Yeah, it was the best race we've had outside of Indy. Like,
well, but also I think the best race at Detroit at that particular track.
Yes, for sure. Okay, let's cover off your race specifically, and then we'll get into.
I don't have much to say. It was horse. We sucked. I mean, we were just lost for an entire 3 days, which is quite a weird feeling. Christian was doing a really good job. He kicked my ass this weekend. Like there's no other way to put it. And really sad for him that he didn't get a result.
Yeah. What it was electrical issues took him out?
No, it was an engine failure.
Got
TBD
it.
on the cause. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough 2 weeks for the team, because like the best car at Indy and the best car at Detroit both have mechanicals.
Right.
So that's not fun. But that's motorsports. There was no human error involved in either of those. It's just component failures. So yeah, a big shame for him, because I think he was going to have a very solid. There's someone running by my house in a Java House 20 jersey. That's wild.
God, I hope they don't know that you live there, and that's just what they. I can't tell what's funny.
I would like that way more
if they know, and they're just like, I'm gonna hope he's looking out the window and he knows that I'm a fan.
No, I hope he doesn't know I live here. Anyways, so I feel terrible for Christian, because like he was on for another 6th, 7th, 8th place result, which would have been his 2 best career results back to back. But yeah, on our side, we were just trying to survive, and we did. And the team did a good job in pit lane, and we maximized our strategy as best we could. And we came away with 10th, and it was one of those ones where it's like, thank God you got something out of it. So.
Yeah, you're like kind of can't believe you finished 10th.
Yeah, we had honestly no right in certain.
You've been in the top 10 now at every race for this track, right?
Well, I was top 5 before this weekend for all of them.
I was trying to be a, glass half full
because it was you and Dixon
that
finished top 5 in both, and I feel like Dixon also was in top 5.
Well, hey, he was 11th. I passed him with 2 laps to go. So,
boom. So you're the only guy that's been.
Yes, correct.
Oh no, that's not true. I guess others could have been also top 10.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What's your point, Tim?
That was it. I was just saying you've been top 10 all 3 times.
Just saying how much you like this place.
No, I don't. It's just like I just feel like I'm the least stupid, and I don't hit
stuff.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay, so race itself. It was an Andretti weekend. It was an Andretti race to lose, and they did not. Colton got pole. Kyle should have got pole.
Correct.
I think that's pretty safe to say.
Yep.
It's so tough, man.
Do you know he was on for a 59.8?
Was he really?
Yeah.
That's what, 4/10 quicker?
6/10
quicker. Yeah, 4/10 quicker than the record, but 6/10 quicker than what it actually was. Yeah, he was on it. There was no doubt about it. I mean, he and Colton were kind of the class of the field all weekend, every session pretty much. But you got to get it done.
So this was another weekend of having the new tire rules, right? So how did you guys think that affected qualifying?
Yeah, I mean, the new allocation. So again, it seems like we're new rules yes. Indy GP was its own thing. This was back to how it was in St. Pete and Long Beach. So I don't think it affected qualifying at all. Like all it does is allow guys to go green early. And if they make it to the Fast Six, they don't have new. And if you take the traditional route, you have new and Fast Six. So 3 of the cars in the Fast Six had new, and they were 1, 2, 3. And the other 3 in the Fast Six had used, and they were 4, 5, 6. So,
and look, it was a bit of a risk to try to get through Q1 on one set.
Huge pace differential.
Because there's a huge pace differential, and also like all you need is a poorly timed red. On when you're out on your soft tire run, if you're doing the hards and the softs, and it can totally bone you because tires were taking a second to come to temperature, so it wasn't necessarily just one and done. It looked like most people.
How cold was it?
It was weird.
This entire weekend.
Weird.
It was freezing.
Like, one of the practice sessions must have been like FP2 or something. It was like 52 degrees and track temp of like 63. So we were only 10 degrees over the bare minimum that Firestone requires for cars to be on track. It's like, man, what is happening? It's June. What's going on? It's very strange. So anyway, it was a huge risk, but those guys all got away with it. And yeah, they finished 1, 2, 3 in Q3 because they had that extra set. So kudos to them. Colton got it done. Kyle tapped the wall, ended up P3. Still ended up P3. Incredible. And then, on the race start itself,
very clean.
It was clean. There was some good racing, right? There was some guys getting their elbows out and trying to make moves happen. And Colton kind of got shuffled back a little bit. Kyle sort of took the lead, which really set the tone. But yeah, I thought it was good, clean, nice start, and kind of went off.
I was blown away with Obviously, we know the street course tire, the alternate is pretty weak, doesn't do a whole stint. And, it's a prime race. Like that was pretty much like everyone knew that. And I was blown away. So the top 9 cars start on alternates, as you would expect. And then the majority of the field, bar like 3 or 4 cars, started on the prime. And I'm very curious if everyone, because this was me, right? I started on the prime, was like, oh, I just want to be the first car on the primes because everyone's going to be on alternates, and let's hope something works. Because there's no way that starting on primes is the correct decision. Yet the majority of the field did.
Is that because they all had the same thought you did?
No, that's what I'm saying. I think everyone was like, oh, I'm going to be the only guy doing this, so I'm obviously going to get a good result. And then like 15 cars did it, and you're like,
the allocation came out, and you text the group, you're like, huh, that's not what I thought was going to happen. And I don't love that.
Yeah. Very weird. Like, so I guarantee, Felix did the old mystery box, right? Which,
did he really?
You have 30 minutes after the end of a session
of warm up.
Sorry, to declare. Oh, let's talk about things you have to do after the end of a session.
Oh yeah, getting there late for your weigh-in. What the hell?
It's not late. I never went. So
still hasn't gone.
Yeah. So, anyways, you have 30 minutes after warm up to submit your tire declaration, which is the tires that you choose to start the race on. It doesn't have to be used or new. It just has to be prime or alternate. And if you don't submit, basically it defaults to the
less
favorable tire choice. So I guarantee Felix mystery boxed thinking he was going to get primes, and he got alternates and would have been so confused because like he started 14th right in front of me, and like 10 cars around him were all on primes.
Yeah.
Anyways, thought that was funny.
It's funny when because sometimes teams will do that, right? They'll do it. You call it mystery box because it's you intentionally don't submit because you want to just do the opposite of the majority to try to do something different. But yeah, when you kind of then get the curveball that it was definitely not the choice you thought it was going to be. So IndyCar announced they will be implementing a new system for tech and race control moving forward. So they are investigating a independent third party to have control over technical inspection, race officiating, all that stuff as early as 2026, which I think, Alex, you can tell me, but I think it's an incredibly positive move, and it's essentially what people have been concerned about. And so it's
amazing. I think once this proposed thing comes into effect, a lot of there always will be issues. I mean, Formula One has an independent governing body called the FIA, and there's plenty of things that have gone on where you think the FIA
for sure
as well.
For sure.
But this is the step that needs to be taken to make this a real race championship. Like, that's just reality of it. So I think it's very good news. I think it's exciting. I think Doug is very serious about it happening, which means Roger is very serious about it happening. So it's all positive things going forward. Let's get back to Scott and Nolan because it's funny. Okay. Not what happened to Nolan.
No, all the internet stuff after.
All the internet stuff, hilarious. So I saw it as Scott had a big run on him, and Nolan broke very early, and it's still Scott's fault in entirety because when you go, we've talked about this, insurance adjuster, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're the car that's driving and hits the car in front of you, it's your fault. So Scott's fault 100%. But like, I could see why he hit him.
Right.
Like,
it wasn't some egregious miscalculation on Scott's part.
Early. So,
right.
Yeah.
And yeah, that bled over into some internet fighting.
So was it all, did Scott get chirpy back at TK because of TK reposted it with just, okay then? Or was there something else? I assume. Because that didn't seem like enough to really rile anyone up, but it sure riled a lot of people up.
Well, I think it riled Scott up, and then Scott dove in, and then TK doubled down. And
so where do you guys,
it's just escalated.
Where do you guys sit on that? Because a lot of people seem to think that this is not a great move for TK to do this, but as the driver, is there some part of you that's like, yeah, I want my team principal to go to bat for me? Or is this just like a weird distraction being public?
Nobody was blaming Nolan for anything.
Okay.
Right? So like, yes, TPs should absolutely go to bat for their drivers, even when they're wrong. Right? Nobody was talking about what Nolan did. Nobody was saying Nolan did anything wrong. So
yeah,
it seemed like a weird.
Started it with like you'd misjudged last week,
I think it went on to that.
Okay,
I think he just started with okay, and then Scott said something I forget, and then they started talking about like team manager, like Scott said you've got my number, and Tony said something like I was trying to find your team manager. Oh wait, which
that seemed like a kind of thing with those people losing their jobs.
Exactly. But like the bigger thing for me, man, like I get that look, TK's a racer, right? And you never lose that. It doesn't matter how far out of the car you are. And let's be honest, he was in the car in May driving Larson's car. But I am floored that he had the time during the race from the pit stand to quote tweet and chirp McLaughlin. I'm pretty sure that came out during the race still.
Well, if he's on Nolan's stand, he had time, right?
Yeah, I feel like you should have then moved over to another stand. I don't know.
Listen, I think it. Tony is not the traditional team principal guy. Like we've talked about his rise to this position, and he's not. I don't even. And this is no disrespect to Tony whatsoever.
No,
I don't even know that like other team principals in the paddock view him as their peer as much as he is the boss, but he's also the spokesperson of the real boss. And Tony will tell you that. Like he does what Zach says. Like he has an opinion and he can help influence Zach, but Zach is making these decisions ultimately.
Yeah.
Whereas Chip is not answering to anyone. Ed is not answering to anyone. Like, so anyways, so that being said, Tony is who he is. And so the tweet didn't bother me, at all, because like, it wasn't disrespectful. Like this, the follow-up one was, and I'm sure he probably regrets that, but like, it wasn't bad. It was like, man, my guy just got dumped. He was having a really good race and it was through no fault of his own, really. And so he just put, oh, okay, on a video that Fox IndyCar Twitter posted. So it's like, I don't have a problem with that.
It was the timing I was more confused about.
I mean,
maybe not. I don't know. I go on Twitter in commercial breaks.
What is any team principal doing on a timing stand? Not influencing the race.
No, I guess not. I
mean, they're not. Come on.
No, I know. I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
I guess if there was a caution,
Dale is, because Dale is actually calling a race. But like Bobby Rahal ain't calling a race. Ed,
I feel like Chip. Yeah, Chip.
Nope.
Chimes in. I'm sure Ed chimes in.
Ed chimes in with opinions, but he's not making de facto decisions.
No. Yeah. But like, you're part of the discussion. It doesn't matter.
I'm sorry. Anyway. You can't have your phone on you while you're doing that. Like, it's not that hard to refresh Twitter, dude. If I could do it in the car, I would.
Fair.
Yeah. Didn't Santino get in trouble for that?
Yeah. Well, make it two things he's gotten in trouble for. Anyways, so the other incident to happen was definitely no fault of anyone's, and very thankful that everyone was good. But having an IndyCar suspension failure,
trust me, it sucks.
Right. Didn't think about that. But like, when you consider how much we hit the walls and bang off each other and sort of thing, it's very surprising that like just under braking it snapped.
And like, I still don't know exactly which part snapped. I'm sure it's been said. I just haven't looked into it yet, but like, it was so bizarre. Foster just hits the brakes at the end of the back straight into 3, right front collapses, spears into the wall, collects Fro in a big hit, man. Like, when you watch Fro's onboard, he's slowing down to said 30 miles an hour that the apex speed is in turn 3. And then the guy just is like, the feeling from inside the car of being on the brakes, turning in, and then all of a sudden accelerate to what he must have been doing 60 miles an hour when he hit the wall. Like, that must be the weirdest. And he's like, I didn't see it coming. Like, sometimes you like glance in your mirror and you see a guy coming out of control. You're like, oh, this is going to suck. He didn't see it. He came from the other side of the car, so he didn't see him coming, just accelerates, smashes the wall sideways, worst way to hit it. And then from Foster's standpoint, he hits the wall, has now no control of the car whatsoever, and is just staring at the gearbox of another car. Like, that's a terrifying feeling.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, how does that happen, I guess, is the question. Like, is it...
do we think this could be a factor of how bumpy the track is?
I don't think you can rule that out.
I would prefer if we find a way to blame it on the hybrid. I feel like we blame the hybrid for everything else. So
I mean, extra weight is more stress on these components, dude.
It's just a mass equation. It's inertia.
And
luckily, everybody was okay.
He's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Both guys were okay. A little shook up, understandably. But then it's weird, man, because I mean, obviously unrelated. But then both the 15 and the 30 had like wheel nut issues of some kind. Dev lost a tire,
90.
Maybe twice. The 90 had a tire come off, which was very strange. The 15 couldn't get it off or on or something. They were hammering at wheel nuts. So like, again, that one's weird because there's like 2 teams had the same thing, but then ILOT had the same thing, like you said. So is this something to do with the track and the bumps and the whatever? Like, that seems like a weird one, but
I feel like the promo one was just a new team situation. Like, they've been struggling with pit stops. They were probably rushing because he was, in for a good result, that sort of thing, and just didn't get the wheel nut on. Like, that happened to me at McLaren last year at Barber.
Right.
Like, that happens.
Yeah.
Not hilarious. Kind of hilarious that he hit the wall and then apparently caught the wheel nut. Like, the wheel nut came into the cockpit.
No.
Yeah, which is, he would have been like, oh, I know what happened, which would have been like such a sigh of relief. Because like in that moment, you're like, oh, did I just on a cold tire stove this thing into the wall? And then when you realize the wheel nut's in your lap and the tire's on the car, you're like, ha. Wasn't me. I'm good. You guys are assholes.
I'm a little relieved. I'm definitely more angry than I was, but I'm a little more relieved.
Way less embarrassed.
yeah, exactly.
How fast does that come into your guys' minds when that happens? Immediately?
Oh, you immediately think it's your fault.
Before you even hit the wall. Like as you're going towards the wall, you're like, I cannot believe I balled this up. This is insane. And then you hit it. You're like, you have one job as a driver. It's to not hit stuff. Okay, I guess you have more than that, but
you're supposed to win.
It's the first thing to do. You can't win if you hit
sponsors.
stuff, right? So like number one, once you're in the car, because you have sponsors, and then you get in the car, right? It's a cycle here too. So yeah, very bad day for RLL, which is unfortunate for them.
It's great qualifying. I mean, Graham
Huge.
returning to the Fast Six on not Indy GP.
Dude, on a street circuit, like they've been pretty bad at street circuits. So like it was, and then he had the engine penalty. So I felt bad for him already because he had to cop the penalty and didn't get a start in the top six. That penalty promoted Palou up to fifth. So Palou had his first day not finishing first or second in an IndyCar race through no fault of his own.
First day since 2022, Road America that he's DNF.
2022? No.
2022.
No, Iowa. He crashed in Iowa last year. Maybe they took it to the pits and got back out laps down or something, and so wasn't qualified as a DNF. But I'm going to count it.
Nathan Brown, our guy. I hope it was Nathan Brown. Anyways, someone on the interwebs said
ties back to our earlier conversation of not wanting to do it.
Yeah,
I feel like it's a box score thing. But yes, again, no fault of his own. Malukas just got into him kind of the same way. I mean, different but same as like Scott got into Nolan. He ends up at the wall. Still has a very healthy lead. I guess the bad thing for Palou is that the only other guy that's won a race this year also won this race. So, points wise, had Kyle not been DQ'd in Indy, he'd be, like second in the championship and even closer. So there's that. What else happened? I don't know.
IndyCar memes is back.
David had a good weekend that got away from him.
Yeah. Great qualifying.
A lot of rumors swirling around about old Dave Malukas and Willie P this weekend. Who knows what's true? Obviously, there's been a rumor now for at least a year linking David to the 12 car, and a lot of people assumed that was a foregone conclusion when he signed with Foyt instead of MSR, which is the Penske kind of satellite operation. But then Will is still doing really good things. So I think that there was like, oh, well, why would they replace him if Will is still challenging for championships and wins every weekend? So yeah, that's kind of another silly season thing that's going to come down our way. Because it's really, Will is really the only free agent this year of any sort of notoriety. I feel like you've got your Connors and your Devlins and
your guys.
Louis Foster, right? But like Will is one of the main guys that is in a contract year.
Is Ericsson in a contract year?
No.
Okay.
That doesn't mean anything though.
Well, yeah, we do know that.
Seen, yeah.
So speaking of Willie P, going back to practice and just unnecessarily and inappropriately driving into another car. Did you watch the F1 race, or did you hear about?
But I know what
happened?
you're talking about. Yeah. Old Max.
Man, tough luck, bud. We've talked up Max on this show a lot, and rightfully so, because I don't know. I still think the most talented racing driver on earth right now, and
for sure.
I like him as a dude. I think he's a good dude, but that was not a good look. Getting told to cede a position to George Russell late in the race, and as he let George Russell by, just like rolled off the brakes and intentionally crashed into him. Now, they both continued. It was 2 laps to go. George got the place back and fine. Max, deservedly so, got a penalty. But man, you just can't do that stuff, man.
And now he's only 1 point away from having a race ban, right?
That's the other thing. I don't know when the first points come off his license, but he's literally one. Could you imagine if the reigning world champion?
Well, here's the thing:
misses a race.
Now, who the are they putting in?
That is such a good point, man. Of all of it, the craziest thing about it is they're literally out of drivers, and I don't even know where you'd start.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, one more. Yeah. Sorry, pal. We need one more out of you. Dude, that's a great point. I don't even know who's reserved for them anymore because they just keep pushing guys into race seats. So
or death.
Or end their careers. Yeah, that's a great point. So, or is Max at the point where he's like, I don't think we're going to win this championship. I got a new kid at home. I'm just going to go like cut the track at Montreal, get a 5-second penalty and 1 penalty point, and then take Austria off and just hang out with the wife and kid for a weekend.
Play more iRacing.
He is that level of not giving a you bring up I don't know that you were trying to make this connection, Tim, but you bring up a good point. I do wonder how much of that was subconscious, something he does in iRacing, and it just leaked out into real life. Because we know how much time he spends on the sim and how he lives on the sim. I could very easily see, like, you get penalties in iRacing too. I could very easily see him doing that as his, like, oh, I gave the place back so the AI computer shows that the car was in front. You. I just wonder if it was like a snap in his head.
It's more like, just like it's reps, right? Like it's muscle memory. Like in iRacing, people do like that all the time. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they shouldn't do it there either, but much lower cost. Yeah, exactly. Much lower penalty. But I mean, he came out, apologized for it. It's still,
the next day.
Yeah. And like, even the apology wasn't the best, but, I don't know, man. That's a tough one. And the fact that he's 1 point away.
Still love him. It's fine. There's no way he's gonna be walking on eggshells now.
No, God, no.
I want to. I mean, I didn't watch the race, but I mean, holy shit, Oscar, man, he's the guy, and that is mind-boggling to say. Just because of A, how good Lando is, and B, because it's his 3rd year.
Yeah,
and all of the questions that were surrounding him, rightfully so, not because any fault of his own. Like, it's a lot to learn and it's a lot to take in, especially when you're at the pointy end and you're being analyzed on every single decision you make, and every single phase of the weekend is being critiqued. Like, he has risen to the occasion and above on all of them. Like, it was all going into this year. Like, so in 2024, it was like, all right, you got to figure out how to match Lando in race pace. We kind of sorted that out, but it was like pretty weak in qualifying. Not weak, but Lando had his number in qualifying. Going into 2025, you gotta be in front of Lando to be on the preferred strategy. Now that you got the race pace figured out, because you're not just going to drive around him. Tick that box. It's incredible, his rate of development.
And what I want to like draw attention back to is because like he's won 5 races now this year. I don't remember if he's won them all from pole, but he's pretty much has won them all for pole, right? Like, you drive away, you're in a good car, you have pole, you drive away, and it's fine. But there's been a lot of drivers that have been in that position that once they're back in the and they've got to scrap it out, they don't have the racecraft the same way. But because he wasn't just up there, like the last 2 years, he's proven his racecraft is incredible, and his passing, his ability to overtake when he needs to is, I would say, on par with the best out there. Better than Lando, on par with Max, on par with Alonso, because he's pulled off some pretty stout moves. And if he ever has to mix it up, we know he's perfectly capable. He hasn't really had to do it. He just lives. He has no peaks and valleys, right? That guy's natural mentality is so even keeled that he doesn't go up and down. It's just, he lives at this level. And what he's done is he's just raised that level so high that it's now at a point where you can qualify in pole and win Formula One races. So it's really, really impressive to watch. It's got to be kind of frustrating and getting to the point where it's frustrating for Lando. It's 5 wins to 2. Still a lot of racing to go, no doubt. But man, it's going to be interesting to see how these two kind of fight it out over the rest of the year. And what, does that change Lando for the better or for the worse, right? Does that make him find another gear and step it up? Or does that start just eating away at him and actually forcing him into more mistakes? It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. That all said, everybody's got a week off. F1's not racing next week. IndyCar's not racing next week. How are you spending your time off?
With my kid? It's weird to say.
It's weird to say because, like, especially on here, we've only been talking about it for like a couple weeks, even though we knew it was coming for a while. So you're just hanging out at home and changing diapers
we're gonna hang at home, man. Like this is June is a fairly easy month relative to July and August. You know, we have the first one off, then 2 in a row, then a weekend off, and then hell's fury comes upon us.
Also known as July.
Right. So we're just going to chill at home this weekend and recoup and get into a rhythm. And then Gateway, we'll talk about it next week, but super pumped about that. Night race, prime time, Sunday night TV. It's going to be badass. So, lots to look forward to.
Very exciting. I decided to not take the weekend off. I'm heading out to Western Canada to Jacques Villeneuve's track out there for appreciation day for all the members out there at Area 27. Went last year. It was good fun. Becky was supposed to come this year. Becky went ahead and got a job. So Becky's up in Toronto area working. Yeah. So
again, I don't know why you live it.
We're gonna bleep that out.
See. Yeah, see.
Yeah, no, I know. It's weird having a house. It's just like a big hotel room at this point, and a laundry stop. But it's funny. So Becky's working, and she took Lucy, our little dog, with her. But I've got Sully, the big guy, and so the boys are just kind of hanging out this week, having fun, going on walks. We're gonna go swimming tomorrow. We're gonna get in the pool. So yeah, so I'll be out there driving cars and chatting to people and hanging with JV, which is actually cool. He was like one of my childhood heroes growing up, and it's fun to like get to bullshit about the good old days. I love talking to old racing drivers because like I realize I am one now, but older ones than me because they've got cool stories. Not like Hunter Ray old. That's just like you got nothing in common with him. Like it's weird trying to talk to him. But yeah, man, that's the weekend. So excited to go out there. Gonna miss Becky. Wish she was coming, but she's working hard.
I'm also gonna miss Becky.
I think we'll all miss Becky.
She'll be back soon, and then we'll all hang out. We'll come visit little Benji. Little Benjithy.
Tim won't be there, right?
No,
I'm coming.
God, no.
I love babies.
It was nice getting to Tim's mom's place and stepdad's place and seeing them and playing some bocce the other day. That was fun.
All right, well, see you guys next week.
God willing. This has been Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. Off Track is part of the SiriusXM Sports Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please give a 5-star rating and leave a review. Subscribe today wherever you stream your podcasts. We are at Ask Off Track on Twitter and Instagram, and if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Hinchtown and at Alexander Rossi. If you want to follow Tim, though we have no idea why you would, he's at the Tim Durham on Twitter. Find us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for exclusive video content. Off Track is produced by Tim Durham, and by that we mean Tim.